Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about more Metazoo, more behind the scenes. Well, not quite behind the scenes, but you kind of know what I mean. A little bit more insight into kind of what was going on. And yeah, one of the things that we're going to open up some more junk, by the way. But one of the things that I kind of noticed that people were always talking about was how, Mike was very inflammatory. Andy was as well. Banning people in the Discord and um, banning fans and all that sort of stuff, and telling people to be quiet and censoring comments. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to talk about how that occurred within the partnership with Metazoo and possibly beyond. I mean, if this was what they were like in the public, God knows what they were like with their actual staff, right? People that they actually paid wages for. But yeah, I mean, one of the main things to kind of keep in mind, right, is that they were always kind of very vague with any information that they ever gave to us. It was always vague, like how CryptoZoo would be with Logan Paul and stuff like that. The scam artists are always kind of vague with what their not necessarily their intentions are, although they are obviously vague with those, but they're also vague about any sort of relevant information, and they'll try to answer a question with answers that aren't really answers, but just kind of a nothing burgers. And I'll talk about some things that were kind of vague throughout the throughout the time that we were. I was going to say by the time that we were together, but we weren't together. Obviously, we were Metazoo partners. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that used to happen quite a lot is that things used to go wrong or badly, and no one would say a damn thing. It would always have to be me that was saying something in the partner chat, and often I would get comments from people privately to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, and it's like, I don't really understand why we're hiding, our true feelings, because at the end of the day, if you want this game to last, then it has to take on feedback. Here's the deck. There is your release medal, and then you've got an Alaskan triangle alien there as well, nice and shiny. Yeah, so ultimately I felt that we were kind of owed answers. I mean, in a much larger scale, if you were a Magic store or a Pokemon store, for example, and these things happen to you, not only would you expect an answer, but you would get one before the statement's even put out, right? It would be something like, there's a delay on the print line. Unfortunately, it's delayed by 2 weeks. This is going to come out on this day, and the pre-release events are going to be pushed back to this day. And this has happened multiple times with Pokemon, even a lot of the time with Bandai as well. Bandai have had a lot of pushbacks with stuff like that, right? So it's not unheard of to request information or be what's the word, it's justified that we get this information. We're entitled to it. We've put, and this is the thing as well, right, is that because we paid for the product up front, we were owed these answers. If it was the case that we just put in a pre-order and then we had to pay for them eventually when the product was ready, then fine. Completely. You can tell us exactly when whatever you want. We don't need the information. But when we've actually paid for the product to be made, and and it's 3 months in advance as well. So what we got to remember is that the capital is spent on the product, and Metazoo also put into place that we wasn't allowed to start pre-orders until 2 weeks before the product was due to drop, right? Now, the product, so that means that we've obviously paid out all this money for product, and we can't even earn it back for a minimum of 3 months, right? Now, at the beginning, the release dates were kind of bang on for UFO and eventually for Seance as well. Look, nice, Flatwoods Monster. Do you know, I never actually pulled one of these out of UFO. I ended up having to buy one. So there you go. Flatwoods Monster finally got one. So yeah, obviously because we paid for this, because we've already paid for the product, we're owed the information. We need to know when we're going to be able to, start making our money back. Because at the end of the day, and this is something that kind of passed by Metazoo so many times, it seems, but they seem to think that Metazoo was, the only thing that we were stocking, or that we should be stocking, or our entire focuses should be on Metazoo. And I mean, to be fair, that could be because, some of the main people that they were dealing with, or the bigger people that they were dealing with, their main focus was Metazoo. But that wasn't the case for. Well, I mean, that's not the case for any other shop, right? It seems to only be unique to, Metazoo stores, for example, right? I mean, most stores are stocking something else in some way, shape, or form, whether it be other TCGs or hobby stuff or board games or whatever it might be. You're going to be stocking other stuff. So and also as well, stores run on a like a tight schedule. These products come out all the time. They're very, very expensive. They're often pretty low margins as well. I mean, like for a Pokemon box, for example, they cost like £90 for a booster box, right? And they're barely making £100 on the open market. And obviously you got your credit card, transaction fees, so you lose like £2-3 straight away. So you're basically investing £90 to make a fiver. So obviously these stores need to get it in, get it out, and then that's it. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that happened, I remember when the WPT stuff came out, and I mean, that was a complete disaster, right? The poker Kickstarter. I mean, who can set up a Kickstarter with the World Poker Tour and it end with a completely different company? Like, what on earth was that? But anyway, I remember what happened was the partners used to get punished, right? It's kind of an odd thing to say, right? But they used to kind of issue us punishments, but in like a passive aggressive way, right? It wouldn't be like like scolded in the chat or anything like that. But it would be like, oh, there's no discount on this product. So it's like, well, okay, well, we're a store. Like we're not interested in battling with people on the secondary market and scalpers and stuff like that, right? Like we're a store. We buy it at distribution price. We sell it at MSRP. And if the product goes up in price, then great. That's amazing, But Metazoo seemed to think that not offering us discounts would mean that we buy it anyway. And to be honest with you, I'm sure that with a lot of partners that was still the case. But I know for a fact that, there were again, I'm not going to name any names, but there were some partners that used to speak to me because I used to kind of, speak out. And they would all say the same things. Oh, no, I'm not ordering anymore. If we're not getting any discounts, then why would we stock it? And that's true as well, because what they were promoting there was scalper mentality, and they was basically promoting that stores and partner stores as well, by the way, they was promoting us buying a product at the same price that your customer base can buy it at, and then when it eventually lands, you can double the price or whatever. But those days were just long gone. Like no one was doubling their money on retail priced products since like Nightfall, and I think maybe Hero Quest 1 was probably, I can't quite remember when that was, but Hero Quest 1 seems like probably one of the last ones as well that got flipped pretty easily, right? But it just wasn't the norm. So it just didn't make sense that we would have to charge that we would have to stock products at the same price that the people that the community that buys from me buy it at. Why would they buy it from me when they can just buy it from Metazoo and possibly even get some sort of like Black Friday promo or something like that, right? It just didn't make any sense. And I think Metazoo kind of, as a company, they didn't really have any identity in how they wanted to conduct their business. But I'll touch more on that in a little while. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to point out that like punishments were kind of, and by the way, this embargo on discounts, it lasted for quite some time, and throughout that entire period I didn't order a single product, and the people in my community know that as well. they was asking me, I can't even remember what products they were. I think it was like some Revive stuff. There was some like Christmas bauble stuff. I don't know, like loads of sort of random stuff, right? And I just refused to order any of it because at the end of the day, I'm not going to battle with, people on eBay in price. And that's not and that's not the job of a store either. This isn't like a high ground kind of moral scenario. This is not the job of the store. It's my job to get the product, sell it at MSRP, whatever the price is that you recommend, and hope to achieve that price, right? But when you're selling products to us at MSRP and we're then having to sell them on, there is no MSRP anymore, and the value and the economy of everything is just completely skewed. But yeah, a couple people have asked me about the partner promo as well and asked me to clarify that as well. So I'll clarify that a little bit more. But this also kind of ties into the whole, Metazoo lies and gaslighting kind of scenario. So I'll explain the partner promo again. So there was a partner promo that was offered to us during Native, right? When Native went up for us to pre-order it, and this is before you guys get to pre-order it, right? Like we obviously get like a window where we can choose, let them know how many boxes of everything we want to order, right? So at that point, they said there's going to be a partner promo. And actually, again, you might be able to see this on Instagram because the Instagram's still up, but it was definitely on Twitter as well. But they put out, and this is what I forgot to mention in the last video, but they put out like a tweet and an Instagram post saying, if you want to have your face put on, if you want to have your store's logo put on an official Metazoo card, apply for the partner program. Now, this is kind of like a double-edged sword kind of thing. Right? I think there's kind of 2 points to this. But the first point is that they put this out to the public to let everybody know that your logo would be on a card, right? So instantly we had people messaging us, people in the community. Oh wow, you're going to be getting your own promo card. You're going to be getting your own promo card. And yeah, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, whether Metazoo kind of goes, 2-0 or to the moon, having my logo on a card is like a really cool thing. And it's something that, regardless of what people think of Metazoo, it's just like a nice little, memento, like something that kind of staples something that you've done in your life, something to just kind of keep, whether it's worth $1 million or whether it's worth $0, it was like a personal thing. Anyway, they put this out to the community and everybody was like really excited about it. But like people were asking me to sign the card as well, and that's kind of I think that they was kind of doing that in jest. I not that I think that was going to get a card signed by me. But it was just like a funny kind of meme thing, right? That everybody was talking about. But it kind of like highlighted, how people were excited to kind of be part of the community and also be recognised in the UK that something was actually happening over here. It wasn't just in the US. Something was actually happening in the UK. Anyway, so we was all like, oh well, this is amazing, all in the partner chat, and Then it came out that I can't remember who posted it. I think it was Mike. He came out and said the people that qualify for the partner promo, you have to spend $20,000 on Metazoo to be able to qualify. Now, $20,000 is a lot of money, right? And it's especially a lot of money on Metazoo. I mean, I'm sure some of the bigger sellers would, more than likely ordering that amount, definitely more. But in the UK, there isn't a market to sell 20 grand's worth of booster boxes. I mean, if you was to sell, I don't even know how many booster boxes that would work out off the top of my head, right? But like 2,000 boxes, something like that. There isn't even 2,000 people in the UK that are into Metazoo, to buy a box each. It just doesn't make sense. So people were kind of really angry about that, myself included, because it wasn't even that we wasn't, because basically what they was trying to say is that if you're not selling enough, you're not worthy of a card, even though we've just told everybody on Twitter and Instagram and beyond that as well, because people are supposed to be now applying to be partners, that there's now some sort of like 20 grand ceiling. Now, I don't think a lot of the partners were ordering 20 grams worth of Metazoo. The market just wasn't big enough to be swallowed up by multiple massive US partners. And I think, even in Australia, there was maybe even too many partners there as well to kind of make it financially viable for them. But it's just kind of, anyway. So people were kind of sounding off about this, and people were pretty angry, right? Because it kind of, what people were saying is, and what I said in the chat was, you've now advertised to everybody in my in my community and in the UK and beyond that, you've advertised to everybody that there's going to be a promo card, and now I've got to explain to them how we as a community and I as a store am now not worthy of getting a promo card. And it doesn't seem to be based upon the amount of work that you put in. It's actually based upon how much money you spend, which is kind of a completely warped way to look at it, right? And into who's kind of deserving of what. So yeah, anyway, eventually it was agreed that everybody would be able to get one of these cards. I think there was still a minimum order, right? We still had to make a minimum order, but there was always a minimum order anyway. I forget exactly what it was, but as long as you hit the minimum, you'd get the promo card, and all you had to do was send in a logo, send it over to Andy. So I sent the logo to Andy. It was a text and a image logo, and he didn't even respond to me. I also said to him in the chat, is everything okay? If there's ever an issue, let me know, and we'll get it sorted. And then he didn't even respond to me directly, but he just put in the chat, if you've sent me a logo, everything's all good. All right, so it's like a blanket response to everybody. All right, fair enough. But he didn't respond to me directly, despite the fact I sent 3 messages. So here's me assuming that everything's good. A few months later, I think this was like after Native, right? He put a message in the chat saying there was a problem with the partner promos. They were damaged. And basically what he was saying was, to get into detail, it was something to do with if your logo was too detailed or like complicated, the print press was pressing it into the card, but the card was indenting on the other side of the card. So basically, you'd be able to see the indent on this side, right, of the logo. So they were essentially damaged during printing. So don't worry, they're going to be reprinted. It'll be about a month. Okay, fine, that's no problem. We'll wait another month. And people have been asking about this promo card for a long time at this point as well, but had never actually got a response. And it always kind of been glossed over. And it's coming soon. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Coming soon is the slogan, catchphrase for Metazoo, right? So yeah, we was like, okay, we'll wait another month. It's no problem. And then I think even longer than that passed by. I can't remember exactly, right? But people started getting dispatch notices. Oh no! People asked again, like, when's the card coming out? And they said, oh yeah, it's coming out by the end of the week. So at the end of the week, people started to get dispatch notices, and a lot of people got dispatch notices, but not everybody did. And there was an issue with the printing of some of the cards again. And I kind of touched on the last video that it didn't make sense to me that they had the same issue with this. With the card, like, why would you print the card the same way twice? Like, why would you not ask for any amendments to be made, or a different type of logo, or just something? And one thing I forgot to mention actually is that in between the gap of saying it was coming soon and then it kind of shipping out, he said some of the logos had issues with them, and the Metazoo staff have worked really hard to make sure that the logos all look good on the cards. So that was basically saying, they've made adjustments to our logo or whatever that needed to be done. I didn't really mind about that. I just wanted the logo on the card. And at no point was we ever told, oh, there's an issue with it. So anyway, these dispatch notices started going out, and some people didn't get them, including myself. And I was asking in the chat, why haven't I got this dispatch notice? Why aren't I getting a card? And I think they was trying to gloss over it and start talking about something else in the partner chat. And I just kept talking about, no, we need to get this we need to get an answer. You can't just gloss over us. Like, we spent a lot of money. I ordered more Metazoo than what I actually wanted to in order to just try and get this promo card, right? And so, I've essentially paid for this card to be delivered. I at least want an answer as to why we're not getting it. And Mike messaged me in the DMs, and he did this a few times, by the way, over the course of the last couple of years. He would message me in my DMs and basically tell me to shut up. And it was pure gaslighting as well, right? Because he would say things like, if the partner program is not working out for you, let us know and we can revisit it. And it was like a passive aggressive threat, like it was gonna, like I was gonna, be scared of him or something. Oh no, please don't let me go of the partner program. But I think, it just kind of showed what kind of guy that he was, just pure gas. I'm trying to find it on my device. Where is it? Yeah, so here we go. Here's a message here, right? Hey there, about 99% of your very public messages seem to be complaints. Let me know if the partner program is working out for you. Very happy to revisit it if you're no longer interested. And these very public messages were all in the partner chat, right? It's not this isn't a public forum. It was closed off to everybody other than partners. And at the end of the day, this is a business environment. So if we've paid money for something and we're talking about stuff, then you owe us the answers because we've paid you money, right? So they weren't public messages, although he had a problem with me saying it in front of the other partners. But I wasn't going to take it to his DMs. It needed to be said in front of everybody else in the hope that other partners would start to speak up. And unfortunately, they did not. Or very, very many of them did not anyway. But yeah, just pure gaslighting, and passive aggressive threats like, oh, if you want to leave the partner program, then we can revisit it. And it's up to you, man. Like, if that's what you want, then that's up to you. That's what you want. But then there's nobody in the whole of the UK stocking your product, and you're gonna lose like a market. So being my guest is entirely up to you. But I think because I spoke up, staff actively disliked me, and you could kind of tell in the way that they would respond to messages and respond to emails and stuff like that. There was kind of like an air of like snarkiness, like I don't know. It's hard to kind of explain really, but it was always like a sarcastic kind of passive aggressive, I'm bigger than you kind of ego, like I'm the boss, you're the employee. And believe me, like at no point was Mike ever my boss. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, I mean, also because I spoke up, it led to like a lack of spotlighting, opportunity, just general kind of being, part of like the inner circle, right? Not that I wanted to be part of the inner circle. I just wanted to know like what the fuck was going on most of the time, right? Like, when are we getting these products? What exactly is happening? And, I mentioned this before yesterday as well. Like, a lot of the notifications that went out, right, that from Metazoo in the announcements were like whatnot streams, and the whatnot streams were all the same people, right, or the same person, or like 2 or 3 different streamers, always getting the shared. I mean, even like other content creators that aren't even stores have said how their content was never acknowledged or ever shared or anything like that, and that just kind of seemed crazy to me. Like, why wouldn't you want more people to be more, more like public, in front of everybody? Look how many content creators we've got. Look how many whatnot streamers there are streaming for us. Look at what I don't want to say diverse because it's not really diverse, right? But it's diverse in the sense that there's partners all over the world. There's in different states of America. All with different styles and different personalities and all that sort of stuff, right? Why wasn't any of those shared? And it made it look like there was even less content out there than actually what it was. And actually, to be perfectly honest with you, right, I would never actually actively seek out Metazoo YouTube content, so it was never actually recommended to me. And only since this kind of drama started coming out have I actually started to discover some of the Metazoo content creators out there. And I have to say that I've never even heard of these people before, and it's kind of crazy to me that I haven't, because and that only through not ever searching Metazoo on YouTube. Like I've never heard of Nick Strength from Pokemon until recently, and great channel, by the way, Nick. I hope you continue with like what you do in the TCG world and stuff. But like, I'd never heard of his channel before, and maybe that's a complete oversight for me. But why isn't Metazoo sharing channels like that, or sharing videos about learning to play? I mean, if you search "learn to play" on Metazoo, there's a whole bunch of videos on there. One of them was done by a friend of mine, and that never got shared at all either. So, just kind of odd, that there was a complete lack of spotlighting, and certain streams that were getting shared, were really basic things. I mean, someone told me that a pair of Fire Tower dice sold for $90 on someone's stream. $90 for a set of dice, Fire Tower dice, which were shit, by the way. They were like the worst dice I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, yeah, and it just kind of proved to me that Metazoo would actually cut their nose off to spite their face, like because they didn't like a person, regardless of how much work they were doing, or what they could actually possibly bring to Metazoo as a brand or as a whole, or in terms of content, or in terms of leads or sales or whatever it might be. They would have rather shunned you than put you in a spotlight purely out of ego, because they felt that they just didn't need you to do that. And it's when we talk about like partners and stuff sticking around, I mean, some were just banned like a shot for saying things that they shouldn't have done on a Discord, or I think someone got banned, they told me, because they liked a comment that someone had said. So I don't know too much of what went on there, and half the time you kind of wouldn't really see these partners disappear. They wouldn't sort of speak up and leave. They would just kind of get deleted, right? Like fucking Men in Black or like the Matrix or something. They'd just get erased. And you would just never hear of it again. But yeah, I mean, other partners are banned like a shot, and sometimes because of the way that they spoke to Mike, and Mike was very, very precious with that sort of thing. Like, he would definitely not let you speak to him the way that you would necessarily want to speak to him. And if you spoke out of line, then he would definitely get rid of you. But the thing is that no matter how much I spoke up, and I would have people saying to me, "Oh man, I think you should calm down, and like maybe you should think about what you're saying, because otherwise you might get your partnership revoked." And it just showed that deep down Mike knew that he needed all of the partners, especially myself in the UK, because I was the only partner in the whole of Europe, and without me there was no distribution in the UK at all. There's no distribution, no other stores. Everybody would just have to try and find it from America. Some people don't want to do that, or don't know really how to do that, how to do reshipments and all that sort of stuff. So they would have just left the community entirely. And I also think as well, right, that they obviously wasn't selling as much product as what they needed to, so they just needed to try and retain as many partners as possible, I think, regardless of how much kind of controversy went down. But the last thing I kind of want to talk about is just the lack of an identity as a business, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is that Metazoo just had a complete lack of identity as a business. They didn't know what they wanted to be in terms of how they were going to sell their product, right? One of the, let me start. When you start with Pokemon, right? Look at the Pokemon Center, for example. There's a whole bunch of products on there that you can only get on the Pokemon Center, right? And those range from plushies to tournament dice to, I don't know, statues, sleeves, and all that sort of stuff, right? You can only buy that stuff on the Pokemon Center. You can also buy booster boxes on the Pokemon Center, and other products as well. And it's to be fair, Pokemon Center it's got worse with them over the last year or two. But it used to be that most products you'd only be able to find them in the LGS, right? So the Pokemon or Metazoo would sell the product to a distributor. The distributor would sell it to the business, and then the business would stock it, and then the market would basically hopefully soak them up or decide what the price of that product should be. Now with Metazoo, they wanted to have their cake and eat it all the time, and they wanted to sell the product on their website, sell it to stores, sell it to partners, and sell it to well, I've already said sell it to the consumers, right? But you can't compete with the stores that are supposed to be growing your game, because if people will buy directly from Metazoo and get some sort of benefit, then they will do that, and as a result, and I said this yesterday as well, as a result, if people don't buy from a store, the store doesn't stock it anymore. And that is what happened in the UK en masse. I mean, I still see stores at card shows with boxes of Cryptid Nation 2 and Wilderness, and they've got them up for like 30, 40 quid, and just cannot move them at all. And they've had them for, 2 years. So you need the store. You need the stores to actually be selling product. And Metazoo wanted to sell the product, and they also wanted to sell it to the stores. And like I mentioned earlier as well, a lot of the time the discounts that we got were like 10%, 20% or something like that. And if you was in America, that wouldn't be too bad of a margin when you can consider sort of Pokemon booster boxes, for example. But when you consider stores in the UK, for example, okay, there's not stores in the UK, but just myself, or if you was abroad in Australia, for example, then you were buying the product, paying a 20% import fee plus shipping as well, and then having to try and sell it at a markup on top of that. Now the shipping the import fee is 20% straight away. So if you get a 20% discount, that's going to be eaten up straight away by the import fees, and then there's shipping on top of that as well, which will push it even further past the break-even point, right? So you would then have to basically scalp the product to people that wanted it, and it did work out for them a lot of the time, because the cost of shipping for them would have outweighed what we were basically putting as a margin on the product, right? So it kind of worked out better for them in that sense anyway. But if you was making large orders, then it would have been better for you to just buy from Metazoo, because Metazoo, like I said yesterday, they weren't sending out product with a declared value on, so people weren't paying any import fees on anything. So it just completely skewed the market again. When we're supposed to be selling a product with no MSRP, and it seems that the goal is to basically get as much as you can for it. And actually, Mike and Andy even said this in the chat a couple of times, like just make as much money as you can, or something like that. There wasn't really any clear guidelines other than the map pricing on booster boxes. There wasn't any guidelines on what to sell the other products for. I think in Metazoo's eyes, if a product skyrocketed and went to a £10 blister pack went to £30-40, then that was a good thing in their eyes. But it just meant that no new people. I mean, no one wants people. £10 blister pack's a lot of money anyway, right? I mean, £10 blister pack, £10 for a blister pack is a lot of money, regardless of what's inside it. And I think as well, this is where it kind of lost its identity a little bit, right? Like if you're charging, £10, or was it like $10 for a blister pack, or whether they were charging $8, right? $8 for a blister pack, and then. Because when they first started off, they were all hollows, right? And they would be sort of like decent sized sets, like 40 cards, all hollows, and then you can just kind of pull whatever hollows you get out of those packs. But then I think they started to get greedy when they was doing these like $8, $10 blister packs, and the sets now included reverse hollows and non-hollows. And that completely crashed that sort of special set blister pack market, I think, because the cards the blister packs were less special now, right? Like if you I mean, you saw a pack yesterday I opened up of a fan art blister, had 3 non-hollows in and a reverse hollow. I mean, those packs would have cost like I can't remember now, like £10 each or something, right? And can you imagine opening that pack and getting that for £10? It just doesn't feel good, and it's not attractive to new collectors. It's not attractive to new people. And I've said this before as well, that getting into a new TCG is like trying to convince people to change their lifestyle. This is a lifestyle choice, playing Magic, playing Pokemon, playing Warhammer even. Entering into a new TCG is a lifestyle choice. You very rarely just buy the odd few packs here and there. You're either in or you're out. And it's people. Money's tight, especially at the moment as well. And the model for £10 blister packs just isn't there anymore, and it hasn't been there for a very long time. But Metazoo is still trying to push this £10 blister pack, economy, and it didn't work for a long time. There wasn't a single one of those special products that went up in price because they printed to order as well. If they sold 10,000 units, they would print 10,000 units. And there was just no liquidity as a result for collectors. Like, if collectors wanted to sell their duplicates, they couldn't or didn't have to, because there's just so much product out there. But yeah, they sold their products in competition with LGS's, and and we kind of spoke about this earlier yesterday, right? That the partners were above LGS's in the sense that we got certain promos or were supposed to get certain promos that we were able to include in our orders and stuff, right? But Metazoo go one further, and they're able to include booster packs and special booster packs that you weren't able to get anywhere else. Like the Black Friday packs, for example. The only way that we were able to get those was to spend £20. Was it like £20 on, or $20 on stuff that we've got loads of or don't want anyway? It just, and don't get me wrong, I know that a lot of people did buy that. I'm sure that they did, but for me, it just wasn't. I've already got all of this stuff, But yeah, I don't know. What can you say? That they just had no identity in terms of how they wanted to sell their product, and it kind of. They wanted to, and Argo's touched on this as well. They focused on short-term gains instead of long-term investment in the brand, the community. It all just was about making X amount or X times the value of the blister all the time, or of the booster box, or whatever it might be. And the booster box should be your flagship product. Like, your booster box should be the flagship product. Like the same with Pokemon. Pokemon's flagship product is their booster box. Like, that is the most premium thing you can buy. Outside of some of the really special stuff that they very rarely release. Once a year, maybe like a UPC or a classic collection box or something like that. The booster box is the OG king, right? With Metazoo, it just didn't mean anything. Like, most people were chasing the special sets because they were rarer, and frankly, collecting as well touched on this as well. And I know Frank watches my videos. I watch his as well. I haven't been able to comment on a lot of his because he's been very anti-Metazoo, and I kind of, you kind of have to be careful what you say when you are a Metazoo partner in some sort of sense in the public eye, because you do kind of have, it's like when if you work for McDonald's, right? Or maybe McDonald's is a bad example. Maybe if you worked for a bank, right, like Chase Morgan or something, and you started going around saying, "Oh, this guy is this and this company's that," and rah, 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 you'd lose your job, right? and it kind of is the same sort of thing, and you kind of have to appreciate that, right? So anyway, but yeah, Frank touched on this, and he was saying that he kind of worked out, or someone said to him that you've got the like the Wilderness booster box, right? Wilderness booster box, and then you had the eBay booster box come out, and the eBay cards were more rare in that box than they were in this one. And okay, you can kind of, if that was the only time that they were doing that eBay box, it was like a really special thing at the time. I remember the holo as well had been changed. For the eBay boxes, that was the first set where the holo was really, really shiny. So it kind of made sense for that. But then when they brought out the big box sets as well, and then people were chasing those because they had the promos in, and then they had the big box logo on, and those are more rare. It just complete lack of, you know, identity in the booster box and really kind of what it really meant as a whole. Yeah, it just completely diluted the importance of anything that they were bringing out all the time. You know, the booster box ended up being the worst product you could buy when you compare to the eBay boxes, compared to the big box stuff, when you compare to the special sets like, you know, Hero Quest, for example. The booster boxes are the worst value. And the reason for that is because there's so much supply of it. I mean, if you think, right, if you've got 20,000 fan art blisters and those have got 2 packs in, that's, you know, 40,000 booster packs, right? If you've got 20,000 booster boxes with 36 packs in, you know, that's a hell of a lot more packs. So, you know, it just didn't make sense. There wasn't enough market as well to soak up everything. And the holos that weren't the main chase cards were meaningless and valueless. I mean, there was just no value inside the box outside of the, you know, the very small chase cards. And I think the problem with these booster boxes as well was that there was no extra layer of rarity, right? Like when you look at Pokemon, you've got the holos, you've got the Vs or the EXs, you've got the full arts and the trainer cards. Then you've got like the alternate arts and, you know, all that's and then the gold card, or the gold cards, then the alternate arts, right? So those are the tiers of rarity, and it's very clear what those tiers of rarity are, and what cards people are chasing, and what cards are nice based upon the texture, the foiling, the art even on it as well. With Metazoo, it wasn't very clear what the chase cards were at first, and I guess that was part of its charm in a sense, but I just think it needed an extra layer of collectability, you know, something that people could get some value out of a box, something that was a bit more of a chase, like, you know, like an alternate art Lugia or an alternate art Charizard would be in a Pokemon box. There should have been something like that, you know, something like a extended full art or something like that, you know, borderless, you know, a borderless Mothman or whatever. I have no idea, but anyway, yeah, I think we'll leave it there anyway. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I've got a few more topics to bring up as well, so make sure you come back, subscribe and like it if you're new here. Just sort of talk about like the Metazoo staff and, well, not necessarily staff, but just how liars and gaslighting was such a massive part of how they kind of spoke to partners and how they dealt with people. And, you know, obviously I only saw what happened in the partner chat, and a lot of the time, a lot of the bigger partners were never actually in the partner chat. So it leads me to believe that there was other means of communication outside of that anyway, and that the Discord partner chat was just for us peasants, you know. Yeah, let us know in the comments, guys, if there's anything you want me to cover in the next video. If there's any questions you want me to answer, I'm more than happy to do so. Try and give you as much insight and information as I can. But yeah, more story to unfold. I'm sure we're going to see more unfold from the actual Metazoo side of things. I mean, it's all very weird that the Instagram's back up, but there's no sign of life, so to speak. Not entirely sure why it all went down, all got deleted, and then it all came back again with no message from Mike. You know, without the announcement page with the message from Mike letting everybody know that it was closed down. So we'll see what happens. We'll come back. I'll try and do another video tomorrow, explain some more things, go through a few more bits, and hopefully, yeah, I haven't got too much more fuel left in the tank. So if you want me to answer anything specific, please put it in the comments and let me know. Otherwise, I eventually will just kind of put this to bed, move on with my life, and get on with things. But yeah, come back tomorrow. Should be another video. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.